again, I regret that I may not be
Oh my, you're in the
as I would
wrong
like.
seat to be a talker.
I know, I'm sorry.
Must be that chair.
Just a few things. One, absolutely, I want to thank everyone again from SCORE for coming out tonight. It's important that you were here, so I'm glad that you were. It helps us to make decisions when we hear from citizens. And like I said, too often we don't. So thank you again. Just as to, I think it was Ms. Murphy, as to the open space, that plot is still being determined as to what the level of contamination is and how large it spreads. So there's additional testing going on with regards to that. That was also, I believe, one of the resolutions we passed tonight was to continue to explore exactly where the contamination was and what has to be remediated. So there is still work going on there, and it's my opinion, I'm not speaking for the rest of the council, but to go ahead and allocate any funds to that when we don't know what the level of contamination was or is, would make sense at this point. So we need to first have those facts in hand before we do anything else. Beyond that, I would be remiss if I didn't tell everyone, especially because my wife is here, that the Riverdale Education Association is having a community education program. There's a lot of good programs there that people from River Edge and Oradell may like. I encourage you to go on to www.rdea.org, and those programs start on March 21st. Now, also, I guess we've had a lot of talk about the American Legion building, and I didn't address that initially during my comments after everyone from SCORE had spoken. The American Legion building is iconic in this town. I think if you showed a picture of that building to anyone, he or she would recognize it. And I don't think anyone here on this council, when we're faced with what to do with that building, will come to that decision lightly. But we do have a question. Do we continue with the plan set forth by a prior council, or do we move in a different direction? And I think, we have some facts ahead of us. Thank you to Sam for providing information to us tonight in terms of, if I'm correct, 70% of the building or the usage would have to be for the seniors.
70% of the aggregate funds
would have to be for the
received
seniors.
by the seniors.
And then any other group that would seek to use it would have to be comprised of 41% low or moderate income.
Would have to be considered low or moderate.
So I think if you look around River Edge, as you said, we'd be hard pressed to find any other group that would fit into that category. But this was something that we've been told for a number of years when this purchase was made, that it could be used for other groups. And that just wasn't accurate. It's not accurate, it wasn't accurate. And sadly, I think this goes again to a lack of diligence on the part of prior councils. Before they made purchases, they failed to fully investigate what they were purchasing and what it could be used for. And then you're stuck again. Well, this is what I have, and it's not what I thought I had. And so we have to make a decision again. We now know we didn't receive the $100,000. We were told all along that we did. We didn't. We know that we have to add a deed restriction in order to get that $100,000. Again, that was something that we weren't told. And we keep hearing about this $300,000, and we'll get $100,000 this year. We applied for $300,000, but we'll probably get $100,000, and we should go forward incrementally. Well, we all got in our mail today an email saying that the House of Representatives, in their budget, slashed this program by 67%. And President Obama slashed his proposal is slashing it by 7.5%. So I think it would be foolish for us to plan that we'll continue to receive this funding at its current level when you have a House of Representatives and the President looking to slash this. So I think it's just unrealistic to expect that we'll continue to receive $100,000 a year and make these repairs. Now, if we did receive $300,000 eventually, and it was going to cost $300,000, which I don't think it would, because I was here when an architect testified or stated before the council that you could be looking at $1 million to $1.5 million to get this building up and running. We throw out this 300,000, I just don't think it's accurate. I've seen pictures of that building, it's a mess. It's an absolute disaster. Our superintendent of public works has recommended that the building be demolished. Now, I don't necessarily agree with his reasoning in that we don't have the funding to maintain it, the soft costs. But I do believe that this building, as it currently stands, is not sufficient to meet the needs of the public on a going forward basis. I just don't. I've spoken to the county as well, and they've advised me that in order for it to be a senior center, it would have to be open Monday through Saturday as a senior center through the time of 9 to 5. Well, when is another group even going to get in there? Late in the evening or on an occasional Sunday? Again, this is stuff that should have been brought to the public's attention beforehand, and it just wasn't. Now, the cost, that 300,000, this doesn't include the soft costs that are associated with it. That's just the building. Nobody's talking about what are the costs for a sound system or kitchen appliances or furniture or curtains or carpeting. Those costs haven't been included. So we really need a whole picture for that. Now, beyond that, this building can at best accommodate 100 people. Now, we're told again and again that our population is growing. Our over 65 population continues to grow. I think it's been quoted that there's 1,000 people over the age of 65 in River Edge. Well, you're not going to fit a tenth of them into that building as it currently exists. I think it would be foolish to go forward with this building in its current state. I don't believe it meets our needs today. I don't believe it will meet our needs in the future, whenever that future may be. If you look at the numbers we're talking about and the cost, that building might not be ready until 2016 to 2022. I'm 36 years old. I would be getting ready to use that building, okay, by the time it's finished. I think it doesn't make sense. I think we need to plan for a community center that provides for our seniors, our recreation department, and our cultural center. And that's where this council should be moving forward, not stuck in plans of the past that don't meet our future needs. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alphonse. Very well put. Okay. Sandy, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, members of the public, switch gears for a minute, because I attended the February 23rd meeting of the River Edge Historic Commission. We reviewed the ordinance, the Historic Preservation Ordinance. I was introduced to all the members of the Historic Preservation Commission. We discussed creating Bogart Road, the Pocket Park, and what, if any, historic significance that piece of property has. We reviewed the historic display at the River Edge train station. We discussed a historic timeline and the library's fundraising that they're going to be doing, which sounded very exciting. We also discussed making a historic video and combining all of the historic records regarding River Edge, and we received an update on Newbridge Landing. I thought it was a very well meeting, and I look forward to more meetings with the Historic Preservation Commission in the future. Turning to the Pocket Park, what the majority of this council did is inconsistent, in my opinion. We're spending money on more testing for any remediation that has to go on for the chlordane, which is a pesticide that was found on the property. But at the same time, we gave up the opportunity to obtain $46,000 in funding. The $46,000 was not in our operating budget. It wasn't in our open space budget. It was in our capital budget. It would have cost us pennies on a dollar in order to receive a $46,000 grant. I think it was just foolish to rescind the resolution. We should be doing all that we can in this town in order to apply for grants and to get grant money so that, we can make better use of, our facilities and our infrastructure, instead of letting, the property just go dormant. On to the American Legion building. We purchased the property. We had our engineer Bob Costa here last week, who told us that, he gave it to us straight. We own the building. We have to protect the building. We have to maintain the building. And we're not doing it. We have $100,000 available to us, and the majority of council wants to give it back and not accept the money. Again, I don't think it's a very wise move. We should take the $100,000. We should apply for more grants, get the money that we need in order to protect that building and to give the seniors a home, because that's what we need. We need to give the seniors their own place. I did hear Mr. Soreski's opinion, but I know, both from being a borough attorney and from just going around Bergen County, that all these towns in Bergen County have senior citizens buildings that are put to other uses. The one in Oradell gets put to another use. The one in New Milford gets put to other uses. You don't have to use it 100%. So, as to the, everybody's just speculating as to the amount of money it would take to repair the building. We just don't know yet, because no one's gone in and done a detailed analysis. So I think we should not try to just undo everything that we've worked so hard to do, but we should move forward across partisan lines and get these things, back on the front burners again where they really need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Johnny? Council comments, Johnny?
Just briefly about the budget. We're going through the budget process now. We have another meeting after this. We're trying to get the budget under control. We do have a lot of cutting that we've had to do over the past couple of years, and that's because of lack of revenues, lack of tax base because of, the economy the way it's been going. And we continue to lose revenue. Costs, health insurance, things like that continue to go up. So we are constantly having to cut to make up that difference. It's a very difficult situation. Nobody wants to cut anything, but it's a fact. There's a lot of nice things. Nobody is sitting here saying that we want to cut the seniors. Nobody's sitting here saying that we want to cut DPW or cut police, but it's a fact. You can only do what you can afford. And the problem in New Jersey and also in River Edge is that we keep continuing on the path of this is a nice to do, this is a nice to have. Nobody's denying that. But do you have the money? It's nice for me to have a 2-car garage. I'd love to have a second car. But I walk to the bus every day. I do all these things because I can't afford a second car. Not only would it be nice for me to have a second car, but it'd be nice for me to have a Mercedes. I love a Mercedes. But I can't afford a Mercedes. So you know what I do? I don't buy it because I can't afford it. And that's the problem that we have in New Jersey and this town. It's that we do things that we cannot afford to do. If we have the money for a senior center, let's do it. I'm all for it. The problem is we don't have the money. Our taxes keep going up every year. When my parents owned a house, there were actually years where their taxes didn't go up. I haven't seen that yet. Every year, consistently, my taxes go up again and again and again. Value of the house keeps coming down lower and lower and lower. Why? Because my taxes keep increasing. Nobody's going to want to buy a house in this town when our taxes are upwards of $15,000, and they're getting there pretty fast. If every year they go up as much as they have in the past few years, we're going to be at $15,000 next thing you know. And we have to stop spending. We have to stop buying things, purchasing things, and projects that we cannot afford. When we can afford them, then we can talk. But until that time, we have to stop.
Thanks, Johnny.